biscuit tins with a sprinkler in.
The huge noise and energy of their performance brought The Who a fanatical mod following. Back in 1965, Pete Townsend talked about his musical philosophy.
My personal motivation on the stage is quite simple. It consists of a hate of every kind of pop music and a hate of everything our group has done, really. You get higher and higher, and you're at the peak of a crescendo, for example, or the peak of a recording career, and you find yourself chopping away at your own legs, sort of auto-destructive music. I prefer to be in this position, it's more exciting. You have to resign yourself to the fact that a large part of the audience is sort of thick, you know, and don't appreciate quality, however much you try and put it over. The fact is that our group hasn't got any quality, it's just musical sensationalism. You do something big on the stage and 1,000 geezers sort of go, ah. It's just basic shepherd's bush enjoyment.
At the same time as the on-stage violence, which became The Who's trademark, mods themselves began fighting. As the movement spread, the clean-cut, short-haired lads on their scooters met the opposition of 50s-style bikers known as rockers, and pitched battles between mods and rockers at places like Brighton and Clacton on bank holidays soon became common. Newsreels of the time were suitably outraged.
There was just one thing casting a slight cloud over Clacton, the possibility that the mods and rockers might once again descend on the town. Any who did sensed that the police would be more than ready for them. Clacton had no intention of being a battleground again. It really has come to something when people can't take a short holiday without the threat of long-haired youngsters with knives indulging in an orgy of hooliganism. Reinforcements to the ranks of law and order seemed more than enough to cope with anything that might happen. On the whole, they were, though they could not completely prevent it.
What caused all this trouble yesterday?
Boredom.
On whose part?
Well, on both.
What happened?
The do down there. Well, there was lots of things, you know. They started, you know what rockers are like, don't you?
Well, I don't know. You tell me.
Well, they, you know, their motorbikes, they started bashing into the scooters and knocking down motors. We are the mods! 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 That's the geezer that ran me off the road yesterday! Let's fucking have it!
A blow-by-blow recreation of the biggest mods and rockers riot at Brighton in 1964 features in Quadrophenia. Frank Rodham directed the film. How did he manage to recreate the atmosphere of the mod period on film?
When I was working with the cast to get them to know the mod thing, I took them around to meet some old mods. And we sat around together and talked about you know, the music, about the period, about amphetamine, and the effects of speed. And
where did you find the old mods?
They're everywhere. Old mods never died. The thing about the mod era was it was a very efficient period. The clothes, the hair, the whole style was very efficient. I mean, even when some of the guys used to take amphetamine, it's a very efficient drug. So what you get this very sort of efficient dancing, very clipped conversations, very speedy conversations, and they would dance in a very small area, hundreds of mods bouncing up and down, and that kind of restrained kind of dancing was something that we had to practice with all the extras.
Now, one thing I would say about the film is that the girls in the film don't really look the full 100% way that mod girls did look in about 1963 or 64, when they had the white stockings, white lipstick, very, very black eye makeup, very much shorter hair than you've got in the film, and those horrible nylon raincoats and cloddy shoes. And the girls in the film look much more attractive.
The main girl, she's like, she's not mod-like, she's more like Jane Asher or Cathy McGowan. And I remember when I used to go to mod parties, even the mods, if they would admire mod style in themselves, they might admire a girl because she looked like a real cool mod, but they never want to try and make it with her, they never want to try and sleep with her, because the style was too extreme. So you get all these mods at a party, and all these mod girls sitting there in their incredible mod gear, and they're all heading towards some girl with long hair who's totally un-mod-like.
Frank, how conscious were you when you were making the film of the mod revival, or didn't you know anything about it?
On the onset, when we first started the film, we had no idea that there might be a mod revival. We hoped that we would create one, you know, stylistically, and we hoped that there'd be lots of little mods wandering around the streets, and that would obviously increase the interest in the film. And I think our interest right across the board, but from the most optimistic was that we'd start a mod cult again. It would be great for the film. And the other part would be perhaps they'd be fighting on the beaches again in Brighton. I don't think anybody really wanted that to happen, but, you know, it did occur to us.
So have the makers of Quadrophenia succeeded in creating an artificial mod boom to coincide with the film's release? Or does the revival have deeper roots than that? In part 2, we'll be talking to the new mods themselves and finding out.
London Weekend Show, production number 22753, date of recording 17/5/79, part 2, take 1.
The original mod era came to an end in 1966, before some of today's new mods were even born. Why have they suddenly picked up on a cult that's been forgotten for 13 years? And how concerned are they about getting the original look exactly right?
I'm glad this is all blown up now, because it means that I can sort of come out the shadows a bit, you know?
Why, were you embarrassed when punk was all the thing?
No, I wasn't really, funnily enough. You know, I've dressed near enough the same. It's just that I couldn't be me, you know?
Well, can you remember anything, or do you know anything about what it was like to be a mod the first time round in the 60s?
A little bit. It was a lot more, you know, the violence pills thing, which, you know, we're just not into now. Well, that's for meatheads.
But how can you check out whether you're wearing the right clothes or the clothes that they wore before?
Well, it's not a question of wearing the clothes that they wore before. It's a question of wearing the right sort of style and doing it in your own way.
Where did you get your suit from?
Oxfam.
Oxford, how much was it?
£3.
I've been done.
Tell me this thing about parkas. I mean, parkas were, people wore them the time before. Why have they all cropped up again?
It's cold on the back of a scooter. I went down to Margate on it. I tell you, without this, it would have just froze to death.
Do you think that the parka thing is an easy way of one mod spotting another? I mean,
That's what it is, yeah.
Depends what type of parka you got on though, innit? I mean, you can get them cheap ones with the red lining.